Hey, I'm Nick DiMatteo, and welcome to week 211 and video episode number 37 of Music is Not a Genre. Every week I take a release or two from my collection. I discuss them, I give you my take on them. I throw in some other interesting information and things that connect it to other things in life and to my own music. If you like this podcast or my other podcast or the live shows or recorded music or anything on this YouTube page, please take a moment to subscribe. It would mean a lot to me and it would really help out. More so, if you watch something that you think someone else would like, it would be really awesome if you copy the link and shared it with that person and kind of let them know that I exist and what I'm doing and the whole idea of music is not a genre, it's everything, and what the world of that means, and that there is something on this page, on this YouTube page, that they will be interested in, they will find, and hopefully that you or they will want to comment on and discuss and create a conversation here. So, quick housekeeping note, my monitor is unavailable this week because we are kind of removing into our current place, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to go old-fashioned and use the printed word, screenshot, or you can just read below because all this text is below. So, this week, there are two albums that I'm discussing, 1982's The Hit List and 1983's Hot Tracks, both released by the Titan K-TEL Records. This is actually the fourth week out of the 211 that I have discussed K-TEL Records specifically, and it's the second video that I have done. I have a bunch of different K-TEL collections, so as you know, I'm using each one of them, in this case two of them, as jumping off points to discuss that. And each time I do, I kind of come across some different points that I think are kind of relevant, not just for what you see here, but to today. And this one I think is particularly hitting home in so many ways right now. If you don't know K-TEL, then please go look them up because you're missing out on a wonderful world. They aren't the first company to have ever created these kinds of compilations and greatest hits and stuff like that, but I think that in many ways they're still the most famous. And they definitely became the most famous of their time. I'm not sure if K-TEL still exists. I think it does in some form, but certainly not like this. And I've always been into compilations. I said that in a previous podcast, whether it's greatest hits of a single artist or a type of music or of a certain year or era. I've been into it. It's a great way to kind of encapsulate that thing that was or is happening and kind of give you a straight shot of it and or introduce you to it if you haven't heard it before. And in the case of these, I think they're kind of extra special, and it's because of 5 words I'm going to say to you: rock, pop, funk, soul, electronic. Why does that matter? Why do those words matter? Well, first of all, they were used by these two albums in particular to describe the music on those albums. They are so-called genres. They're types of music, a way to classify music so that it's a shorthand. You kind of get an idea of what you're in for in a certain way. And also, kind of inherent in that definition is how limiting genres are, which I continuously discuss. But the second thing is that actually that was the thing. So why does that matter? Well, I think it matters more than ever right now because I can't remember a time in my lifetime, and even looking back in history, when we have been as factionalized as we are now. The music industry is a business, different in some ways from other businesses, but alike in one major way, and that is that it learns as it grows. And what is it learning? It's learning how to be a more successful business. It's learning how to do better at what it does so that it can become more popular, make more money. That's the bottom line for really almost any business. So it will try things, and some of those things don't work, but the things that do work, they double down on. And if that doubling down works, they quadruple down on them until they pretty much run it into the ground. And if that quadrupling down, there's a shift in the culture or something, and that fails, they either modify it or they abandon it and they try something else, and the process just continues. It's a cycle, right? So one of the things that the music industry tried fairly early on was the idea of creating genres of popular music. Believe it or not, there was a time when distinctions between types of non-classical music didn't exist. It was considered folk music or popular music, or eventually it would be given names like Tin Pan Alley and things like that, and then country music or blues, or a lot later down the line, rock and roll and jazz, and then funk and soul, and R&B, and all the way up to hip hop and punk and goth, and you name it, and house, all of the things I've discussed. And that was the process that was happening, because what the music industry found, was that if they could drill home the idea of a certain type of music to a certain type of people, and yes, if that sounds insulting, it's because it is, and shame on the entire world for that, and especially in the music industry in this case, when they found that, they just kept building on that, and then they realized, oh, well, if we can then divide, let's say, rock into classic rock and punk rock and heavy metal and all the different various kinds of music that's rooted in rock, power pop rock, then we can target even further. And what's happened over the decades is that the target demographics have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. There was a point at which, all men would like this kind of music, all women would like this kind of music, and then they divided it very early on, honestly, between races, again, sadly. And then they, divided it between age groups, and they divided it even between, smaller and smaller age groups, and regional and all of that stuff. And while there is a degree of truth to any of that, because individuals have their own tastes, there's no one who can say an entire group has a taste, right? So it's sad but true that this has become, and was, and in some ways still is, wildly successful method of putting music out there, right? And so I'm looking at my notes now, and the success is hard to dispute. There's ton of money that's been made from it, but the thing that happens, which is the thing that happens in a lot of business, especially when it is unregulated, is that the things that make more money, the things and groups and people that have more power, that make more money, that get more say, that have a louder voice, or whose voice is allowed to be heard more, get more and more of that, to the exclusion of the people and things and ideas that don't, which are shoved aside, neglected. They get, they kind of get smaller and smaller and smaller. And, my argument is that, sure, it was successful, and in some cases wildly successful, but even during the height of the success of factionalizing people, and music into groups and genres, the music industry was missing the boat, because, and it's not just because of the kind of the frou-frou, we're missing out on the kind of communal experience of all listening to the same music together. And by same, I don't mean one kind of music, but all kinds of music, but music that we are sharing, and whatever that may be. And that it further kind of reinforces the idea that people don't have more in common than not. So this idea, well, you're from this group, you're from that group, whether it's based on age or race or any number of other things. But why would businesses care about that if they're making money, right? So, my argument is they should care. And they should care because, so let's say you have blues music. And we're very early on, the contention by the industry was, well, this should be marketed to black people, so let's just do that, right? And you say to yourself, oh, very early on, that's still happening today with so many kinds of music and so many, and so many different ethnic groups and age groups and things like that. Yeah, it is. That's the whole point. It started there and it just got bigger and bigger and more, targeted. Each group got smaller and it is ballooned until it's really out of control. And what I'm saying is, when you target a type of music to a group of people to the exclusion of other people and other types of music, you're missing out, businesses, on way more income. So if you don't care about the, artistic or communal or social or any of that stuff, maybe the, impetus to want to make more money will drive you to stop marginalizing types of music by, locking them into certain genres and then only marketing that to certain types of people or certain groups. And that's a mini version of my rant. I don't know how many it is, honestly, and it's similar to what I have on here, although slightly different, right? So why did I go into that rant? Why related to these albums? Well, because of the first 5 words that I said at the beginning: rock, pop, funk, soul, electronic. All of those types of music are included on these albums, and probably more. And not to mention, each one of those types of music has within it other types of music that kind of negate the idea of genres on the whole. And sure, why did K-TEL do this? Well, it figured that the most popular songs could make the most money for them. Why not put them all in one collection? And you can sell that and make good money from it. But that second part that my hand was going towards is the thing that's not just brilliant, whether it was conscious or not, and I don't really care if it was from back then, is that they also thought, well, you can grab as many people as possible to buy these albums, because there might be somebody who likes maybe 3 of the songs on there, and someone else who likes a different 3 of the songs, and all of that. And so what? Because they can still get more than one of their favorite songs on one collection. And while they're listening to that, they're listening to other songs that they may not have heard or listened to or at first liked as much. And some of those, I won't say all, but maybe all, but likely some, they will be like, oh, I like this too. And so this type of release kind of goes against the idea that everything needs to be, genreized and factionalized. And this seems trivial. It seems like, it's a K-TEL record. Okay, if you know anything about it, it's something that people would make fun of. It's kind of like, now that's what I call music, or whatever it is, and those kind of things where popular music's all lumped together. And yet, to me, in a different way, it does the same thing, which is to say, those kinds of releases know that the real person who isn't confined by a label or genre or a group likes way more than what they're given credit for. And again, I don't know if that, I think in some ways it was conscious, in many ways it was a business decision, but beyond all of that, it's something that we need to build on. We need to take that idea forward. And we are, maybe not all businesses are, maybe not all websites are, certainly not all algorithms are. Algorithms are kind of the worst offenders there, who choose music based on what you like. Very limiting. Some are getting a little better, but honestly not by much, and that's not technology's fault. It's the humans who programmed the technology, okay? But all that being said, the humans, we are out there, we're hungering for more diversity like this, not just in music, but since this is particularly about music, we're hungering to be able to be quote unquote allowed to listen to more than what we're supposed to listen to. And that's people of all types and of all ages. It doesn't matter. So that's why I thought it was kind of really important to bring this up, and I'm actually going to discuss a different facet of it even further on my Saturday podcast. And if you subscribe, you will be alerted to when it appears on this site, which is actually earlier than Saturday. So, please click the button and subscribe. As far as how this connects to my music, 4 years ago, I started a project called Music is Not a Genre, which has evolved into a couple things. One is this YouTube page and these podcasts. And two is the 5 releases that I am putting out under my band name Rec this year, which I've done 3 already. There'll be 4 EPs and 1 full-length album. The whole point of them is to show that one person can like and or create many, many different kinds of music. And, with passion, enjoy it with passion, create it with passion, and share it with passion. So below is the link to, not this page, but my band Rec's YouTube page, which is an affiliated page to this page. If you've looked through, you will have seen it. Please go and subscribe to that too. Please go and take a look at all the releases that Rec and me under the name Rec and under my own name have done over the years, and you'll see the genre diversity. That word. But you understand what I'm saying. So as far as you're concerned, what types of music do you like that you're not supposed to like? Do you seek out music that goes beyond what the algorithms tell you you're supposed to listen to? That are like what you like, Do you remember K-TEL records? Do you have these particular ones? Do you have other K-TEL records? Do you have any favorites from these 2 collections? I put the links down there, so look them up. It has the track listings for all of them. I guarantee you there are at least a couple of songs that you like in there. And that's it. Those are my questions for you. I'd love to hear your answers. I'd love to keep this conversation going because, as always, with my podcast and with everything I do, it's about the music and it's about conversation and connection. Thank you very much, and I will see you next week.